so we gotta wait for that. Just computer. Okay, Hans, you can get started.
Good evening. Sorry for the delay. Before we start, I remind the committee and members of the public that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Township's YouTube channel. This meeting is being held electronically due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Precautions and measures are in place regarding social distancing to ensure the health and safety of those in attendance and at the Township. Anyone who registered to participate in this meeting will be invited to speak in the order of the applications being heard. I will now do a roll call of the committee for the benefit of the public watching this meeting. When I call your name, please wave at the camera and say here or present. I, Hans Podcamper, am present. Jim?
I am present.
Linda?
Present.
Tim?
I'm here.
Charles? Reno?
Present.
Nancy? I'll now provide a brief explanation of the procedures for this meeting. Each application will be read by Nancy, and she will ask each applicant to make a brief presentation, not to exceed 10 minutes. The committee will be given an opportunity to question the applicant. Any other person who has registered with the recording secretary and is wishing to speak to the application either for or against will be given the opportunity to speak. Please make sure you turn on your microphone and video and identify yourself clearly for the recording secretary. After everyone has had an opportunity to speak, the committee will make a decision on the application. Once discussion on your application is complete, please mute your microphone and turn off your video. You are free to leave the meeting at this point or to remain and listen for the balance of the applications. The applicants are advised that each application has a 20-day appeal period as required under the Planning Act. The last day of appeal for the applications being heard today is July 7th, 2021. At this time, I will ask if any member of the committee has any pecuniary interest with these applications. Does anyone have such?
No.
In that case, I will ask Nancy to read the first application, please.
Thank you, Hans. The first application this evening is for minor variance application A13/2021 for SAKB Services, Inc. The property is located at 342-346 Arthur Street South in Elmira. The property is zoned service commercial C7 with site-specific provisions in section 26.1.34, permitting antique sales and wood furniture sales as additional uses. The property contains a dwelling, a multi-unit commercial building, and a detached commercial shop. The applicant's proposing to demolish the existing unheated sunroom at the rear of the dwelling and replace it with a 2-story, 58 square meter dwelling addition, and is requesting relief from the following: legal nonconforming use buildings section 4.1.4b to permit a 42% expansion to the legal nonconforming use of a dwelling, whereas the bylaw limits the maximum to 25%. And C7 section 20B.5.3 and general regulations section 6.10.2d to reduce the building line setback adjacent to a street from 6 meters to approximately 3.2 meters. Mr. Robson, if you'd like to turn on your video and your audio, you can speak to the application.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Robson. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, SAKB Services. So I have reviewed the staff report from staff and agree with the recommendations. Simply put, the client was looking to demolish the existing sunroom and with a deck on top and just replace it with an actual dwelling. part of the building extending back in the same footprint. It'll maintain the same side yard setback as well, which is approximately 3.2 meters. If there's any questions from the committee, I'm happy to answer them though.
Are there any questions of the applicant?
Nope.
There being none, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move this application. I move that minor variance application 13/2021 for SAKB Services concerning the property known municipally as 342 and 346 Arthur Street South, Elmira, for the relief to permit a 42% expansion to the legal non-conforming use of a dwelling, whereas the bylaw limits the maximum 25%. And with regards to section C-7 zone and general regulation section, to allow reduced building line setback adjacent to a street from 6 meters to approximately 3.2 meters be approved.
May I have a seconder?
I can second that.
Charles? Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Nancy,
Yes, the second application this evening is for a
next
minor.
application.
Yep, this next application is for minor variance A14/2021 for Tolman Henderson and Alexa Hodgkinson for the property located at 1071 Rivers Edge Drive, Westmont Rose. The property is zoned agricultural and contains a dwelling and detached garage. The applicant is proposing the addition of an attached 78 square meter accessory building on the east side of the dwelling and is requesting relief from the following. General Regulation Section 6.10.2A to reduce the building line setback adjacent to a street from 7.6 meters to approximately 5.4 meters. And definition Section 2.5A to vary the definition for attached to permit an approximate 26% common wall connection for an attached accessory building, whereas 30% is required. The accessory building is proposed to have a 2.1 meter attachment of the 7.9 meter common wall. Mr. Henderson and Ms. Hodgkinson, if you'd like to turn your video and your audio on. Oh, perfect. There you are. Okay. If you'd like to make your presentation to the committee.
We don't actually have very much to say other than we're excited to start some renovations. We love the neighborhood and we've gotten to meet some of our neighbors. And I believe that our two requests for minor variances as they stand based on input from the township have been tentatively approved depending on the public's consideration. So other than that, we don't really have anything else to contribute except for perhaps requesting that the garage, the existing garage and the existing driveway be removed post-construction so that we can use the existing garage as a workshop and the driveway for construction vehicles so that they don't have to park on the road. So it was originally, I think, one of the requests by Reno that they be removed prior to the start of construction, but that would put us in a situation where we wouldn't have any driveway into the property.
A part of that is we're well aware because we spend quite a bit of time out there of the use. And it's predominantly used by people coming to visit through the covered bridge, as well as the local community, which consists of a lot of horse and buggies. And we do know that when you're parked on the road, it basically turns it into a one-way street. So we'd like that option to take it down afterwards and remove the driveway afterwards.
Any questions, comments by members of the committee? Linda?
No, I don't specifically have any questions of the applicant. this is more in relation to what they addressed. So it's a question to Reno. And I understand that. So myself, when I was out there, and being it's also on a bit of a curve, I did have concerns with the driveways and initially not knowing for sure what was happening with two driveways. So I'm glad to see that the intent is to remove the existing garage and the driveway so that there will be the one driveway. And that won't hopefully improve the safety situation, but I also appreciate what they're saying with respect to construction traffic having to park on the road. Is there a way we could look at that second recommendation A? And I totally understand why, and I don't want it removed. I don't think that's what we want to see, but could it be such that we could reword it, removal of the existing garage and existing driveway to the satisfaction of the township? So they have to, whether you need an agreement entered into or something like that to address that, so it comes down afterwards. Would that be satisfactory or similar wording? Thoughts?
Reno?
For you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this was brought up, and I could modify the recommendation to the point where it says removal. An agreement will be drawn up, signed by the applicant with a deposit put down for the removal of the existing garage and driveway after the final inspection of the proposed garage. So we do have agreements in the city where we run into certain situations like this, but we would require a deposit for that, so that there is the incentive to remove the garage and get your deposit back. So the recommendation could be, again, the applicant would sign, an agreement would be drawn up by the township and signed by the applicant with the deposit of the amount is $5,000 to remove the existing garage and driveway after the final inspection of the proposed garage. Again, the committee can modify that or accept it as is.
Comments from the committee?
Just to comment,
Tim?
I totally agree with that. Hopefully the $5,000 is enough incentive to make it done, and totally concur that we had to do something because it's just not safe to not have construction traffic and parking on the road out there. So I appreciate that we've come up with something. So I am in favor of that modification to that section there for a deposit in lieu of removing it.
Any other comment or questions?
Sorry, I just wanted, through you, Han, sorry. I just wanted to see the opinion of the applicants as well. Is that something, an amount that's affordable and can be done, or?
Yeah, that's not an issue. Yeah, that's fine. We just, again, the home is in a little bit of disrepair, not just the garage. So we have quite a bit of work to do throughout it. So if the inside has got it, hopefully, again, it allows us to store some things in the garage. It's not unsafe to stand in and work in and do stuff. It's just long-term. It's not in an ideal spot, as well as in disrepair. And I think we've done our geotechnical surveys and other things. And this is what led us to the variance, is we can only place in a very specific spot in our property, which is always too close to the road or not attached enough to the house. I think we need 1 more foot to attach to the house, so that variance would have gone away. And I think it's a meter or 2 towards the road. But again, working with the GRCA and the Township of Woolwich, this is the best plan we can come up with. So again, we're hoping that, and again, I think of all the buggies and the people that go through, we'd like to save that street, kind of maintain it the way it is. And that's where we're at. So yes, $5,000 not an issue. No, that's good.
Thank you. How does, any other questions or comments regarding this application?
Hans, if you like, I've crafted a amended condition if the committee would like me to read that.
Please.
So the amended condition 2A would read, well, essentially be approved subject to The applicant entering into an agreement with the township and depositing an amount of $5,000 for removal of the existing garage and existing driveway following a final inspection of the building permit issued for the new garage. A permit will be required for removal of the structure. Then condition B remains the same.
Linda, does that satisfy your concerns and your recommendation?
Yes, it does, and I think it gives the township what they need in order to ensure, because I see something in the chat, so I'm just gonna add to that. That gives the township the insurance that they can get the existing garage and driveway removed once the sign offs are on the new driveway and new building, so that they will come down. So I think that covers it off.
Reno, does that satisfy your concerns?
Yes, it does. And just to answer the question by the one of the individuals, the $5,000, we would remove the $5,000 if they did not remove the structure. The township would go in and use that $5,000 to remove the structure and the driveway. So that's where the agreement comes into place. The agreement is signed by them. They are obligated to remove it. And if they do not, we do have the right through that agreement to go in and remove the structure and the driveway.
May I have a motion on the application then?
Go ahead, Charles.
Tim?
Okay.
Oh, you want to me? Okay.
Go for it.
It's just that I want to recognize that there was a comment from the public there on chat, so I didn't hear anybody else request to speak to it. But based on that, I would move that minor variance application A14-2021, Talman Henderson and Alexa Hodgkinson concerning the property described as Hitchings Tract Concession A, Lot 3, Part Lot 1, known as 1071 Riverside Drive, Westmount Road. Request relief from the general regulation 6.10.2A to reduce the setback from 7.6 to 5.4, and section 2.5A to vary the definition of a permit of approximately 26% common wall connecting the accessory building, whereas 30% is required. Be approved. Section 2, the revised requirement A for the $5,000 deposit, and requirement B, obtain an entrance permit for the new driveway location.
Seconder,
I can second that, Hans.
Charles? Before we vote on it, recognize that Mr. Henderson is only listening. He's across the road, and he's did not want to have any commentary in regard to this this situation. There's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Nancy, may we hear the text, please?
Yes, thanks, Alexa and Tully. You can turn your video and audio off, and I'll email the decision. The next application is for consent application B10/2021 for numbered company 198-3404 Ontario Limited. The property is 5185 Fountain Street North in Breslau and is zoned general industrial dry with site-specific provisions in section 26.1.242, being general zoning provisions at time of severance that were placed on the property. The property contains an industrial building and tractor trailer parking. The applicant is requesting permission to grant a blanket easement over the property, which would follow an existing roadway that has been determined on the site for access purpose across the property at 5185 Fountain Street North in favor of the vacant lands to the north. The vacant lands have no driveway access onto Fountain Street. Sam, if you'd like to make your presentation to the committee.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good, okay. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Sam Head. I represent Bredner Trailers. We are applying for a blanket easement on the properties in question. We have a site plan approval for the additional lands as well. We have a temporary use bylaw for the 3 years for the storage of trailers. The long-term goal is to have both properties zoned industrial. We're going through a regional plan application process right now to have all the lands designated industrial. In the meantime, we have a temporary use bylaw for 3 years to allow us to use the property to store trailers. So the purpose of the blanket easement is to give us access back and forth between the two properties, which are held in two separate corporations. There is a driveway to Fountain Street, but it's not being used at the present time. My clients wish to retain the option of that driveway in case the zoning for the whole property is not completed in the next couple of years. In the meantime, the driveway allows us access back and forth, which it's doing right now, as a matter of fact. And it allows us access out to the existing driveway on the other end of Fountain Street near Nedlaw's operation. So it complies to the official plan and the provincial policy statements as well. So we're looking for the approval of the blanket easement. I'll be happy to answer any questions of the committee.
Do any member of the committee have questions of the applicants? Jim?
To you, Mr. Chair, not a concern, but just so I understand it, when you say blanket easement, I always anticipate it's being over the whole property. But I see on here with the site plan, you're actually going to designate where the actual right-of-way is going to be.
The access is existing at the present time, and it's basically a driveway and a fire road between the two properties to allow us to move the trailers back and forth as they're brought forward for sale, lease, and repair. So that would continue in any event. They still need access back and forth. The goal is to merge these two properties in one under one corporation in the future and have one access only to Fountain Street. But we need to keep the options open at the present time.
Any other questions of the applicant? There being none, may I have a motion on this application?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I
Jim?
move that. Okay, I would move that consent application B 10/2021 for 198-3404 Ontario Lim concerning the property described as 58M179, Lot 1 known as 5185 Fountain Street, requesting blanket over the property, which would follow existing roadway that has been determined on the site for access purposes across property at 5185 Fountain Street in favor of the vacant lands north, be approved subject to one, the reference plan provided for the proposed access to the which is acceptable to the township prior to the deposit of the registry, and two, that the lands to north 5185 Fountain Street North complete and obtain site plan approval.
May I have a seconder?
I can second that.
Jim? Any further discussion on the motion? We'll call a vote. All those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Head. Moving on. Has the committee members had an opportunity to read the minutes as circulated?
Yes.
Are there any errors or omissions?
Nope.
There being none? I guess the minutes are.
I'll make a motion to move the minutes as circulated of the May Committee of Adjustment meeting.
Seconder?
I can second that.
Charles?
Charles.
All those in favor? That motion is carried. And there be nothing. Is there anything further?
No, I have nothing further for this evening.
That being the case, I guess we can declare this meeting to be over. Thank you very much for everybody's time and effort and thought.